Good morning, guys. Today we are back to work on the Quilt Builder card deck. We're going to do another block from this box. Remember that it is copyright 2018 by C&T Publishing, and I'm going to show you what they want you to accomplish, and then I'm going to put the block together using the techniques that I know, not necessarily the directions or the measurements that they've used. But I will be making 10.5-inch blocks from this. So let's look at this and see which block we're building today and get it put together. Have a great day. Today we're working on the Barrister's Block from our Quilt Builder card deck. And this is what the block will look like when we're done. Now, I'm hoping that you can see my mouse. When I look at this, I see 4 bear claws turned different directions. And this looks like it would be easier to make a little bit differently than the way that the instructions on the card show to do it. So let's go over to the next picture. And this is the instructions that you get on the card. I can't give you the measurements because it's not my pattern. I don't have the copyright on this. And please ignore my dusty, dirty mat in the background. I've got one ordered to replace it, but it hasn't been delivered yet. So the instructions here basically say that you're going to do this in 3 colors, A and B, and they have them, and then you have C, which is your background color. And they have this block split so that you do it in triangles. You turn it into triangles. I don't think that's the best way to do this. So what I'm looking at here is this C actually looks like it should be either a flying goose or 2 half square triangles. So I'm going to do it as 2 half square triangles. So when I make this, I'm going to make HSTs out of this C and D. So this D here will go to the C, and this D will go to the C. And then I can make 4 squares and put my squares together. I hope you guys can see that. I'm going to lay it out with fabric, but I do want the 3 colors that they're asking for in here. And I think I'm going to leave it 3 colors. I thought about adding a 4th in there, but it does need to look like a bear claw when you get completely done with it, as you can see over here to the left. So that's what I'm going to do. So now let's go to fabric and the cutting table so we can see this. Okay, so now I've got the entire barrister's block laid out, and I'm going to put this together way differently than what the card tells you to do. What I've done is in my mind, I guess, I have separated this into 4 separate little blocks. And I'm going to sew these 3 blocks together, or pieces, at the sewing machine. And I want to make sure that I've got everything laid out the way I want it. These 3 together. And I'm going slow and double checking myself because I don't want to have to seam rip anything if I can help it. I'm using a 1.5 stitch length and a 1/4 inch stitch here. I'm going to lay it back where it goes in between stitching and finger press it down to make sure that I do everything the way I want it to come out. Because remember, I did do one of these blocks before and I didn't like how it came out. It didn't come out flat and it didn't come out to the correct size, I didn't think. So finger press and put it back in place. Now it should match exactly this edge of the block, and it does, but I'm still going to press this with the iron to make sure that it's absolutely perfect. Because on this one, precision, precision, precision. I'm not worrying about which direction I press these little seams, but I am making sure that I press these little seams all the same direction. Whoops. And I'm going to pin because I want to make sure that this all matches. And the only thing that really has to match right here is I want to make sure that that corner matches so that my greens line up and my points stay there. So let's put this under the sewing machine. This is not a fast block. I'm loose. And then I'm keeping my fingers down here to make sure that everything stays together and stays lined up perfectly. And I'm doing my 1/4 inch seam allowance. I sewed over a pin there. Whoops. All right. Finger press that open. Put it back in. Double check that everything is right. All right. Now that that's checked, I'm going to iron it. And I'm going to lay it right back into position. Now, double check myself. 1, 2, 3. This is how it's going to look when I get it all sewed on. That's the way I want it. Quarter inch seam. Gonna finger press, make sure it is sewed right. Yep. Now we're gonna iron. Now that it's all ironed together, I'm gonna go over here and I've got my seams nesting there. Gonna make sure that my seam matches up here so that they nest together. Very important on this block that I don't lose my seams. Now this is, in my mind, a bear claw. Pull that seam out before or that pen out before I get to the seam. I'm using my fingers to make sure everything stays lined up here. Okay, so that corner is done. And now I'm going to do almost the same thing here. I'm going to sew these 3 together, attach it to the block, then sew these 4 together and attach it to the block. I won't, I'm going to film it, but I may do it in fast forward for you. I want to make sure that this block goes to this block, that everything stays the same size. And we want to make sure that it matches up. Just took an iron and pressed that back down flat. Okay. Let's start right here. Finger press. Make sure it matches. Want to make sure that all your little half square triangles are going the same direction. Okay. A little bit of heat real quick. And I'm double checking against my card at every step because I don't want to have issues. Making sure my 2 greens match. Keeping that seam lined up all the way down. And you'll notice I'm putting it right back into its position as I go because I want to make sure that I don't accidentally turn anything to the wrong spot. I'm going to apply heat. Go back over here. And then I'm going to put this right here. I'm nesting up those corner points. Trying to do it where you guys can see it on camera. And this right here. And then I'm going to put this under the needle and do a 1/4 inch seam. Just keeping it all lined up. Put some heat on it. Now this is half the block. It's done. I'm going to double check myself. Okay. These two seams here should match up perfectly. I'm going to use a pen here again. The other half of the block is done exactly the same way as this one. So once I get this seam put in, I will finish the block and then I'll bring you back once the block is finished, so you can see how to put together both halves of the block. But this is one half, almost finished. I'm gonna go ahead and do this 1/4 inch seam. I'm taking my pens out before I get there. Where the string came from. Let's add some heat. And I'm not pushing anything, I'm just literally setting the iron on it and pressing everything down to show you that this is the way to get your flat block. So here's this half. We're going to put this half together. I'll do it off camera so that you can see how it goes together. But you can see how this goes together here. And everything is laying flat. Everything is the right size. We'll put this half together off camera, and then I will show you how to join the two halves once we get this part put together. Let me show you this block, and I am going to tell you. Let me show you this block, and I am going to tell you this one was a 3-seam ripper block. I seam ripped 3 different times. I've ironed it down. I've starched it. It's still, but it matches. But it matches the card, and I'll put a picture of the card with its design laid out here for you. I put it together wrong 3 times. 3 times, folks. So I want you to know that this one is definitely tougher than it looks. The first time I had it so that this red square was turned out. Then I turned this square the wrong direction. Just like, come on, get this straight. Ooh, this one's been a toughie. Let's see. All right, this one's been tough. I'm going to hold it up here so you can see the whole block, hopefully. It is right. It is 10.5 inches, which is the size that I wanted. It took some work to get it there, and it took me a little while to get everything right. And even looking at this card, and I'm going to turn it around, even looking at the card very closely as I went, I still managed to turn one corner of this block wrong 3 times. So if you're going to do this one, pen, make sure that you cut everything precisely, absolutely perfect, and make sure that you iron every step of the way. That's the only way I got this one done. I knew my cutting was right, but when it kept coming up wrong, I was like, what's wrong with you, Block? So that's the Barrister Block out of this box. I have to tell you guys, it took me a while to get it up because I kept getting so frustrated with it. And yeah, hopefully the next block will be easier. But that's the 3rd block out of the Quilt Builder card deck. And I will have a link in the description box for you. I'm working out of box 1, but I have to tell you, I'm really happy to put this one in the box and say goodbye. So I will see you guys next time. The next one up is the Balkan puzzle block. I haven't even started looking at it yet. I thought I would have at least looked at it and picked out fabric and thought about how I'd put it together, but I haven't even gotten through this one yet. So it's done. It's going on the wall of shame or wall of fame, whichever is correct, along with the other stuff. Thank you for watching. You guys have a great day. Bye-bye.